Hello and welcome back to another ranking video on The Walking Dead, and today we'll be ranking every arc that we have in The Walking Dead from season 1 to season 11. In total there is roughly about 13 arcs throughout the lifespan of The Walking Dead. So let's jump right into this with number 13, and we have the Reaper arc. This is easily the worst storyline they did on The Walking Dead, and this goes from season 10 episode 17 to season 11 episode 9, and it is very boring. The issue with this arc is that it was filmed during COVID times, and I always say this no matter who I'm talking to: The Walking Dead should have waited until mid to late 2021 to start filming, because this is what happens. You have an arc which has everything underutilized. The only people that actually meet the villains are Gabriel, Daryl, Maggie, and Negan, plus Alden. That's it. Everyone else has a whole different storyline and everything, and they're not even important. The villain has this great idea, but they're completely underutilized, and it is just very boring and mostly filler. This arc, on top of being affected by COVID, is that it also was meant to be the full story of season 11, and the Commonwealth was meant to be pushed back, but AMC cancelled The Walking Dead and said it's getting one more season, that's it, and the writers at The Walking Dead had to condense an entire season's worth of story into only 9 episodes, and nothing could really happen because of that. And that is why it has to be in last place. At number 12, we have the Grady Memorial Hospital arc. This arc goes from episode 4 of season 5 to episode 8. It's a very short arc, and this arc sees our characters trying to save Beth/Carol and going back to Atlanta one more time before heading north. And there are some really big highs in this arc. However, the issue with this arc and why it's so low is 3 reasons. First of all, there's an entire episode dedicated to Beth, and it was one of the worst episodes of season 5. The second one is the villain of this arc, Dawn, is not a very good villain. She's just kind of there a lot of the time. And finally, the whole purpose of this arc, which is to go and save Beth, and the whole reason that Carol gets kind of caught up in all this, is to save Beth. That doesn't happen because right at the final moment, just before they get Beth back, Beth basically kills herself. And it makes these 5 episodes just pointless. You can skip these 5 episodes and our characters will be back on the road again, and you wouldn't miss a thing. And that thing about Beth dying completely ruins this arc, in my opinion. In 11th place, we have the Commonwealth arc. And this arc starts in season 10, episode 16, and goes all the way till the final episode, season 11, episode 24. But you could track this arc back to as early as season 9, episode 16. This arc is one of the longest arcs in The Walking Dead, and it has been hinted at for so long time, and it is one of the most drawn out arcs. The problem with this arc and why it's so low is it doesn't really have a full-on villain. This arc goes through many different villains for a certain period of time. So you have Lance for a couple episodes, then you have Sebastian for a bit, and then you have Pamela in the last 4 episodes. There's no real face to the villain for this arc. It is also because it's so drawn out. There is so much filler, and nothing really happens in this arc until the final 4 or 5 episodes, when they suddenly bring in variant walkers. Pamela's trying to kill everyone suddenly. Nothing really happens until the end of this arc, and this arc goes on for 30 plus episodes. And this arc could really just be a lot shorter. But talking about long arcs, at 10th place is the Savior arc. This arc starts in season 6, episode 10, and ends in season 8, episode 16. This is the longest arc we've had on The Walking Dead. And the problem with this arc is that it really draws out. We have the first 6 to 7 episodes /8, which are absolutely fantastic at building up momentum towards the war. You have this mystery on who is Negan, who are the saviors, and then you get the reveal, which is absolutely fantastic. But then the story just kind of slows down to a halt, with the entirety of season 7 just being about Rick getting his groove back and then deciding, hey, let's go fight the saviors, and it's just too depressing. And season 8 is just action after action after action, and it just gets comical at times. This arc was 2.5 seasons, and it could easily have been a season and a half, and it definitely wasn't helped with Negan not being a great villain. He's a good character now, but when he was a villain, he just felt like a pantomime character. He didn't really seem like the ultimate threat for Rick and company. In 9th place, we have the Farm arc, and this is from season 2 episode 1 to season 2 episode 13. This arc is really broken into 2 things. We have the first 7 episodes, which are about finding Sophia, and that is very slow. And the problem with this arc is that it could have been maybe 6 to 7 episodes, but they dragged it out way too long. It is very character focused, with the first few episodes being very slow, but it picks up after Sophia's death, and that's really where you get Shane and Rick button heads. It is a very entertaining watch, but I have to put it down a little because I think it could have been compacted a little better. This is definitely not helped by the showrunner leaving halfway through this arc and a new showrunner coming in and course correcting during the arc. We have in 8th place the Atlanta arc, which is season 1 episode 1 to season 1 episode 16, and this is a very good starting off point for The Walking Dead. It's very good at introducing characters, the themes, the setting. However, it is very simple and not much really goes on. It is a very mid-tier arc and deserves to be kinda in the middle of this list. In 7th place is the Alexandria / Road to Alexandria arc, and this is season 5 episode 9 all the way to season 5 episode 16, and this story is about our characters getting over the previous arc and traveling to DC and ending up in Alexandria, and is about them trying to merge and adapt to the new life in Alexandria. This does have some very good stories, but does start off a bit weak with this first episode about killing off Tyrese in one of the worst ways possible. But the main focus of the arc is about our characters adapting to live in Alexandria, and about Rick struggling to do that and trying to wrestle leadership away from Diane so he can become the new leader. And it is a very interesting arc. In 6th place is the Bridge arc / Rick's final story, and this goes from season 9 episode 1 to season 9 episode 5, and this arc is a very simple arc. It is just about Rick trying to build a better world, bring the communities together while dealing with this mystery, people going missing, and a savior faction that are still loyal to Negan. But the main focus of this arc is about getting rid of Rick Grimes. The issues with this is that it does brush over quite a lot of the more interesting aspects of this arc, which wished we could have had them fleshed out a bit more, like the savior faction. That's kind of gets brushed over so that they can be like, this is Rick's final story. It is very good the way they got rid of Rick Grimes, but it doesn't impact much after this, as they do a massive time jump to separate The Walking Dead's next arcs from Rick's final story. It is a very mid arc, other than the fantastic last episode for Rick. At number 5 is the Governor arc, and this goes from season 3 episode 1 to season 3 episode 16, and then picks back up in season 4 episode 6 and season 4 episode 8. The issues with this arc is not really much happens, and it is very much drawn out. You could really have condensed this arc down to just season 3 and had maybe the sickness be the reason they leave the prison. I don't know why they decided to break this arc into 2 parts and have a whole different arc in between this arc, and it makes you really not care about this arc as much because of that gap. The back half of this arc is very slow. This arc has an amazing villain with David Morrissey as the governor, and it does some very cool stories. But it's just the issue with this arc being a bit too long for its own good. At number 4 is the arc that we've just been talking about, the Sickness arc, from Season 4 Episode 1 to Season 4 Episode 5. And this is the most unique storyline that The Walking Dead has ever done. And it's one of the few storylines that they haven't even adapted from the comics, and it's brand new and it worked. This story is only 5 episodes, so it does not stay its welcome, and it is about the prison dealing with this plague and everyone getting sick. The standouts of this arc is definitely Herschel, and you have a whole episode dedicated to Herschel trying to save as many people as he can. During this arc, there are so many characters that you're like, are they going to die? Are they not? And it is very good to see a very different Rick during this arc. This story is definitely one of my favourites because it is not about a big fight. It's about an enemy that you cannot fight and you have to use different ways to deal with it, like quarantine, like medicine. It is a very interesting story and one of the better additions they have made to The Walking Dead. In third place is going to be the Whisper arc from Season 9 Episode 6 to Season 10 Episode 16. And this was almost way higher. I really like the Whisperers. I feel like the villains of Beta and Alpha are so amazing and perfectly casted. The idea of the Whisperers is just absolutely perfect. I really like the ideas of making walkers a threat again, and the way they introduced the Whisperers and the Whisperers in Season 9 are absolutely amazing, and it is so good. This arc has so many big moments. However, this arc does have that issue with, as it goes along, it gets progressively worse as you go deeper into Season 10. And I definitely think they could have shortened this arc down a little. It is just a bit over a season and a half long, and you could have really just made it a season and a half. There are some weird moments during this arc, especially in the middle, where there is a lot of filler. Look at episode 16 of Season 9 and episode 1 of Season 10. Those two tell the exact same story, and you could really kind of cut out one of those episodes really in this arc and a few more around the place to make this arc maybe down to maybe 18 to 20 episodes. There is just the bit at the end which really lets this arc down, and if they had a strong finale for this arc, this definitely has one of the weakest finales, I have to say, for an arc. This could have been in second place. But in second place, we have the Terminus / Hunter arc, which goes from Season 4 Episode 9 to Season 5 Episode 3. And this is such a well-written arc, and they really expand upon the Fear the Hunters arc from the comics in such a new and interesting way. The villains are very good, and especially the end of this arc is absolutely fantastic. Those last 4 episodes, fantastic. The only issues with this arc is the first half with everyone being spread out, and some of those episodes and some of those stories at the start of this arc are a lot weaker than others, like Daryl and Beth's storyline at the start, and especially some of those ones where they could have been plot Bs and they tried to make entire episodes out of certain stories when they shouldn't be. This arc was expanded a little more than I would have liked, and you could have made this easily an 8 episode arc, not an 11 episode arc. A lot of characters in this arc go through some amazing character progression, especially Rick, and the Rick we knew by the end of his time on The Walking Dead is basically the Rick that was born during the Terminus / Hunter arc. Now at number 1, and everyone would have expected this to be here, we have the No Way Out arc from Season 6 Episode 1 to Season 6 Episode 9. And this is just so perfect. Everything about this arc is amazing. The only bad things I can say about this is they definitely could have made this 8 episodes and not extend it to 9. The way they cut off episode 8 was a bit weird, and you could have really kind of condensed episode 8 and 9 together. And the episodes where they were trying to set up the saviors, even though the entire back half of Season 6 is the savior setup, so it seems like they were trying to rush through it a little. But other than those 2 issues, this is an absolute perfect adaptation of the arc from the comics. It is so amazing, and we get some very big moments in this storyline, like the Carl thing with him losing his eye, and the Alexandria being overrun by walkers. This is definitely the last arc where our characters learn how to deal with the walkers, and they no longer become a threat. They just become a part of the environment that our characters can now deal with. This is a massive stepping stone for our characters in The Walking Dead, where they learn that the walkers are not an issue, and their focus goes from survival to building a new world and thriving. This is the arc that completely changes everything in The Walking Dead, and it has to be at number 1. And that is my ranking of every arc in The Walking Dead from best to worst. So please tell me down below, do you agree with my ranking of all arcs, or do you disagree? And if you disagree, I would like to know what your ranking of every arc in The Walking Dead is. And if I missed out any arcs, or if you would break any arcs down to even smaller arcs, I would like to know what your thoughts and everything down below. But if you want more Walking Dead content, please make sure to like and subscribe to keep up to date with all things Walking Dead and to help out the channel. But this is it for me today, so goodbye, peace out, and I'll talk to you in the next video.